The classified account lay buried in the ashes of a forgotten village, its secrets untold for decades. Operation Echo Lance, Vietnam, 1970. A mission that never made it to the official records, lost in the fog of a war that defied explanation. The author's fate remains unknown, but his words echo through time, a chilling testament to horrors beyond comprehension. We dropped in under red light, our boots barely making a sound as they touched the damp earth. Echo Platoon, 13 men strong, tasked with a routine sweep near the Laotian border. Intelligence had lost contact with a listening post, and we were sent to investigate. We expected Charlie, maybe an ambush. We were prepared for gunfire for the chaos of combat. What we found instead sent ice through our veins. The jungle was wrong. It didn't breathe right. No insects buzzed, no birds called. The silence was oppressive, unnatural. The very trees seemed to lean towards us, as if straining to hear our whispered commands. Our radioman, Gomez, reported strange interference. Clicks and static that sounded almost like labored breathing. He laughed it off, a nervous chuckle that died in his throat. Gomez was the first to vanish. One moment he was behind me, checking frequencies. The next, nothing but his gear remained in a neat pile. No scream, no sign of struggle. Just an empty uniform and the unblinking stare of the jungle. We moved cautiously, every sense on high alert. Night fell with unnatural speed, the moon refusing to rise. And then the voices started. At first, we thought it was an echo, our own words thrown back at us by the dense foliage. But then it called using Sergeant Ford's voice, a man we'd buried hours earlier with half his skull missing. I caught Private Mills whispering to a tree, his eyes wide and unfocused. He claimed his mother was inside, begging him to come home. I didn't hesitate. I raised my rifle and fired into the trunk. Blood, thick and dark, oozed from the splintered bark. Mills screamed, a sound of pure anguish that was quickly swallowed by the hungry silence. That's when they found us. Not the things that stalked us, not yet. But them, the Viet Cong. 6 of them materialized from the shadows, weapons drawn. I tensed, ready for a firefight, but their eyes were wild with fear. They weren't aiming at us. Their guns pointed past us, into the darkness beyond. A shape stepped into the clearing, tall and wrong. It was humanoid, but no human moved like that. Where a face should have been, there was only a long slit from jaw to chest, opening and closing like gills gasping for air. Its skin writhed as if filled with countless squirming snakes. The VC opened fire without hesitation. Bullets tore into the creature, but it didn't flinch. It didn't bleed. With terrifying speed, it lunged forward. One moment, a Viet Cong soldier stood there. The next, he was cleaved in two. The thing bent low, drinking in the steam that rose from the bisected corpse. We ran, all of us, American and Viet Cong alike. The jungle was no longer a battleground between nations, but a killing field where humanity itself was prey. I don't know how it happened, but in the chaos of our flight, alliances shifted. I found myself running alongside a young VC soldier. He didn't speak English, and my Vietnamese was non-existent, but fear created its own universal language. I called him Keem. He carried a knife of pure obsidian, wickedly sharp. He meant cutting the air, then tapped his temple. "Cut memory," he said, one of the few phrases he knew. Keem taught me to listen for the things that hunted us. The difference between the whisper of wind and their mocking laughter. I showed him how to rig tripwires with M18 claymores, creating a deadly perimeter. We became a team, human survivors in a jungle that had declared war on our species. Our traps worked. We took down 3 of the Hollow Men, as Keem called them. But with each small victory, the jungle itself seemed to close in. Trees that had been 100 yards away would loom over us by morning. It wasn't just haunted. The forest was alive, conscious, and ravenous. We found the source of the horror in the deepest part of the jungle. An ancient tree, massive beyond belief, its roots disappearing into the rubble of some long-forgotten temple. Human skulls, hundreds of them, were embedded in its gnarled bark. Something pulsed within the trunk, a sickening rhythm that whispered of hunger and hate. Keem's face went ashen. He spoke a single phrase, Dain Goi, the hunger god, a spirit born of bloodshed, nourished by decades of war and atrocity. Vietnam had been its buffet, and now it was ready to expand its appetite to the world beyond. We knew what had to be done. We doused the massive roots in fuel, rigged every explosive we had left. Keem worked feverishly, carving symbols into the trunk with his obsidian blade. The tree bled where he cut, a thick black ichor that stank of decay. It screamed, a sound that shook the earth and sent birds fleeing for miles around. From the canopy they fell, dozens of hollow men. They were the faces of our dead comrades, a fallen VC, of villagers long since devoured. They screamed with stolen voices, begging us to stop, to join them, to feed the hunger that could never be sated. We ignored their pleas. The detonator clicked home. The explosion was beyond anything I'd experienced in the war. It echoed for hours, each reverberation feeling like it might tear the world apart. The jungle wept, a black rain that burned where it touched skin. I lost sight of Keem in the inferno. I emerged alone. Whether Keem died in the blast or was changed into something else, I'll never know. I couldn't go back to my unit, to a world that would never understand what we'd faced. I disappeared into the countryside. I found a small village, untouched by the war or the horrors we'd unleashed. I traded my rifle for a plow, my grenades for seeds. I dug wells, built homes, held newborn babies who cried with healthy lungs, free from the taint of screaming trees. But I never truly sleep. In the deepest part of the night, I sometimes hear that clicking again, that unnatural static. And when I walk past the tree line, I feel the forest lean towards me ever so slightly, as if it remembers, as if it's waiting for me to let my guard down. The war ended long ago, but some battles never truly finish. I tend my fields and watch the horizon, knowing that somewhere out there, hunger still grows. And I wonder, in the darkest hours before dawn, if we truly won, or if we only delayed the inevitable feast to come.